The SCP Foundation's goal is to protect us from all dangerous anomalies, of which there are many. However, not all SCPs reside on Earth, and some of them are even extraterrestrial. In this video, we present you the top 5 Space SCPs. Number 5. SCP-1959. Object Class Euclid. SCP-1959 is a white spacesuit similar to a Soviet SK-1 spacesuit used in the Vostok space program. The suit itself appears normal, with the exception that the helmet's visor is badly damaged and misted, preventing any observation of the interior. Also, despite of the ordinary appearance, testing has revealed that SCP-1959 is in fact indestructible. Furthermore, the subject emits a considerable amount of gamma radiation. But the thing that makes 1959 a true space SCP is the fact that it continuously orbits around Earth. Also, the subject's position can vary between low to high Earth orbit despite the lack of any thrusting device, and this movement appears to be unstoppable, as 1959 will ram through any obstacle it encounters without losing any of its kinetic energy. Most notably, however, the subject is capable of moving its limbs, though it remains motionless most of the time, and on the occasion that the subject does move, its body language will show signs of extreme distress, and 1959 has even been observed attempting to break its own visor. There have also been recorded instances where SCP-1959 has hovered in place for a certain period of time before beginning to move again, and according to observation of such events, the subject appears to be resisting some unseen force before being pulled away. And finally, there have been multiple attempts to communicate with SCP-1959 using visual and mechanical means, as well as electromagnetic waves, but so far, all attempts have failed. As such, SCP-1959 could be a distressed astronaut with anomalous life support, or it could simply be an anomalous spacesuit. But in any case, SCP-1959 is a very interesting space SCP. Number 4. SCP-2669. Object Class Keter. SCP-2669 is the designation given to the Keftel-1 space probe, which was constructed and launched by the Foundation in 2004. The goal of this probe was to travel to faraway galaxies and to search for intelligent life in order to make sure that no civilization poses a threat. But of course, it's designated an SCP, so it possesses anomalous technology. The first anomalous aspect is that SCP-2669 is capable of faster than light travel. This was achieved with the help of SCP-2117, an anomaly which can distort local space-time, and as a result, the probe can travel at up to 5 times the speed of light. And the second thing that makes SCP-2669 anomalous is the fact that this probe was designed with an augmented flight computer system incorporating a human consciousness. This was achieved with the help of another SCP, and after the link was established, the subject's body was left on Earth. The result was that the human consciousness, which is located on the ship, can instantaneously communicate with its body back on Earth, and this is always the case, regardless of distance or velocity. As for the mission itself, it was quite successful. Keftel-1 surveyed 114 exoplanets and revealed vital information, though unfortunately, the findings remain classified. However, after some time, the probe began to disobey orders, because on one occasion, after surveying a planet, the spacecraft turned around and began to travel towards Earth at full speed. Of course, the Foundation tried to communicate with the consciousness, space, but this wasn't successful. As such, they started uploading the consciousness of other people into the system in order to disrupt the pilot's control, because when the consciousness is disrupted, SCP-2669's autopilot activates and steers the ship away. This was successful at first, but after some time, the pilot started to remove the additional subjects. Luckily, this process takes several weeks, meaning that in general, the probe should stay away. However, on one occasion, the Foundation made a mistake and uploaded the consciousness of a doctor with vast knowledge of orbital mechanics, and the result was that after regaining control, the pilot calculated a faster way to return to Earth. As such, the Foundation must be very careful about the people it uploads, and let's hope that the pilot can be kept at bay using these uploads, because if it isn't and 2669 crashes into Earth at the speed of light, it will cause an apocalypse. Number 3. SCP-1958 Object Class Safe. SCP-1958 is a Volkswagen bus located in space near the orbit of Mars. The phrases Starmobile and Alpha Centauri or Bust have been spray painted on the sides of the vehicle, but most notably, analysis of the trajectory of SCP-1958 shows that it will reach the aforementioned star in 37 million years. Of course, a space probe was sent to investigate, and the findings were very interesting, because it was revealed that 1958 has undergone heavy modifications. The interior cabin and engine compartment have been made airtight, with a small section near the door being converted into an airlock. Also, the gas tank has been replaced with a fuel cell that appears to be based on advanced technology not developed until several decades after the launch date. But most notably, it was revealed that the steering wheel, gas, and brake pedal alter SCP-1958's speed as if the vehicle is being driven on Earth. Also, several artifacts of interest were discovered within the cabin, including the skeletal remains of an adult human male who was reported missing while attending the University of California. Additional items of interest include a supply of dehydrated food sufficient to feed an adult for 1 year, a water and air filtration system, a seed bank containing seeds from several thousand domestic plants, and several dozen livestock. The means by which SCP-1958 initially left Earth's surface is unknown, but an examination of police records indicates that several bright lights and sonic booms were reported by residents of San Francisco on Independence Day that could not be accounted for by pyrotechnics. As such, we can safely assume that the student invented some anomalous technology and wanted to use this tech to get to Alpha Centauri and colonize a planet. However, based on the vehicle's speed, it seems as if something went wrong and he wasn't able to travel as quickly as he thought. However, a diary was also found on board which reveals what really happened. This diary tells us that the student wasn't alone and that they were in fact a crew of 4. But one day, they were hit by space dust. One of them put on a spacesuit and went outside to investigate, but he was hit right in the visor and drifted away. This devastated crew morale, and after some time, upon waking up, the student noticed that another crewmate had passed away, but this time to an overdose. More time passed, and they noticed that they were very slow and that they were never going to make it. And of course, they started running out of supplies, and eventually, the student remained alone. So, as we see, SCP-1958 is not only very tragic, but it also appears to be related to another SCP, namely 1959. As such, it is definitely one of the most interesting space SCPs. Number 2. SCP-1233 Object Class Keter. SCP-1233 is a humanoid entity which appears to be an individual wearing a spacesuit, equipped with a jetpack, However, interacting with this entity soon reveals that this isn't an ordinary astronaut. 1233 calls itself Moon Champion, defender of space justice and destroyer of evil, and states that it has come to our planet to learn more about our culture and to seek aid for his people in their ongoing war against the Moon monsters. SCP-1233 has also stated that the Moon monsters have plagued his people for countless millennia, and that it is his sacred duty as Moon Champion to meet these nightmarish beasts in combat and lead the Moon people in their defense of the majestic Moon Kingdom. 1233 occasionally visits Earth by falling from the sky and crashing, causing an impact crater. It will then climb out and travel towards the nearest town. On its way, SCP-1233 will frequently stop to engage in various activities, such as chasing small insects, attempting to interrogate animals, trying to eat by pushing food items against its visor, and marching into bodies of water. Upon reaching the town, SCP-1233 will engage in activities which, due to its curiosity, appearance, physical abilities, and lack of understanding of human society, usually results in chaos and destruction. And this isn't helped by the fact that 1233 is extremely powerful and has survived small arms fire, landmines, and even anti-tank munitions, something which makes SCP-1233's destructive sprees near impossible to stop. For example, this entity often breaks into stores to inspect the wares, challenges inanimate objects to combat, stacks cars on top of one another, and on one occasion, 1233 even collected dogs and tried to use them as currency to purchase more dogs. Also, this entity communicates using a loudspeaker and does so in a loud, declamatory male voice, often asking questions that would apparently help it combat the Moon monsters. And finally, SCP-1233 has insisted that humans need to answer the Moon King's call and assist them in their desperate battle against the Moon monsters. Of course, where this so-called Moon Kingdom is located and what the fate of the Moon people is entirely unknown. One thing is certain, however: SCP-1233 behaves in a very unusual way, and observing this entity as it explores and destroys a city would certainly be hilarious. Number 1. SCP-2146 Object Class Euclid. SCP-2146 is the body of a frozen adult whale, which is miraculously located in medium Earth orbit. The object is approximately 60 feet in length and weighs 30 tons, 1/3 of that of a healthy specimen of its species, due to its dehydration. In addition, SCP-2146 has suffered significant corrosion from impacts with space debris and is deeply cracked due to exposure to the sun's radiation. However, the fact that it's located in space isn't even SCP-2146's most bizarre property. This is because once a month, this whale begins broadcasting radio signals, designated SCP-2146-1. These broadcasts vary widely in both content and format. Some appear to be documentaries, others appear to be science fiction dramas, often space-related. Some seem to be children's shows, and others are songs or poems. They only feature an audio track, and in every case, feature an entity designated SCP-2146-2, which narrates, acts, or sings the content of these broadcasts. However, these transmissions are far from normal because they often feature unusual and occasionally disturbing content. But despite of this, the narrator is always cheerful. These broadcasts contain one unifying feature. In every case, the contents deal with a space whale, but the features of this creature change with each broadcast. No information as to how SCP-2146 came to be located in orbit has come to light, and no launches capable of transporting an animal as large as a whale are known to the Foundation. As we already said, SCP-2146's broadcasts are very bizarre, and you're about to see why. On one occasion, the whale told the story of a few scientists in space, which attempted to locate a legendary creature, the space whale. The scientists are shown to be very incompetent, and the story ends with the crew finding the space whale and in awe, pledging to worship it. Another broadcast details a short political manifesto laying out the rights of exocetaceans and makes a number of derogatory claims regarding oppressive, higher-dimensional harpoonists. And lastly, on one occasion, SCP-2146 transmitted a documentary which detailed the feeding and mating process of the space whale, a process that requires the utter destruction of a primitive civilization. So as we see, SCP-2146 is not only a space whale, but it also appears to be a hostile space whale. Let's just hope that apart from these transmissions, 2146 won't gain any other anomalous abilities which would allow it to enforce its political ideologies. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, as we have many more interesting SCP videos coming up.